friends and neighbors, and welcome to Legal Angle. I'm your host, Scott Kirshman, and today my guest is Emmanuel Olawale. And you may be saying to yourself, wait a minute, something's different about this episode. And viewer, you are correct. I am your host. I've been a guest before on this awesome show, but today I am going to be interviewing its regular host, Emmanuel. Emmanuel is an awesome attorney. He's an awesome friend, but he is also an awesome author. And we're going to be talking about his book, The Flavor of Favor: Quest for the American Dream. Emmanuel, could you introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
My name is Emmanuel Olawale. I'm the regular host of Legal Angle, and I'm a guest today. So I'm an author, an attorney, a husband, a father, and a good member of the community.
Is it fair to say, are you a tiny bit nervous about being a guest as opposed to being the person in control as the host?
Not nervous, but it's different, being at the other end of the question. But
It's sort of like when you're an attorney. If you're ever an attorney and you end up getting cross-examined, it's like, wait a minute, I'm the one who's supposed to be asking the questions. Is that fair?
exactly.
All right. So you're an attorney, you're an author, a family man, and the host of Legal Angle. Tell me a
Correct.
little bit about your legal career and tell me a little bit about your book, please.
Oh, well, let's start with the book. I have two books. The first one is a memoir titled Flavor of Favor: Quest for the American Dream. It's about my journey from Lagos, Nigeria, to growing up and then emigrating to the United States about 25 years ago. All the ups and downs, the joys, the sadness, the happiness, everything that encapsulates my journey to where I am right now. And the other book is more like a coaching book for attorneys or people who wants to start their own business. That one is titled Starting and Growing a Law Practice Without Breaking the Bank.
It sounds like great
And
advice.
yes, and my legal career, I practice civil rights law, personal injury. I do some, most of my criminal work has to do with appeals and, trying to get judgment overturned. So that's that in a nutshell.
Excellent. And speaking of in a nutshell, I had the good opportunity to come out to your beautiful home out in the countryside and interview you and meet your family. And you answered 57 questions for me. I'd like to play that now for our viewers so they can get a little bit of the flavor of Emmanuel Olawale.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Emmanuel, help me on your last name. It's a unique last name. How do you say your last name?
The Americans will call it Olawale. The Nigerians will call it Olawale.
And what does it mean?
It means a person who brings wealth home.
All right, and we're in your home right now.
Yes, you are welcome.
How long have you been here?
About 3 months.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about life right now?
I'm pretty much excited about life right now. 10.
What's one thing people don't know about you?
That I love to read multiple books at the same time.
All right, what's your wake-up ritual?
Wake up, work out, drink coffee.
What's your favorite book?
The Alchemist.
Do you like to read books in the morning or night?
Any time of the day.
All right, and why The Alchemist?
It's a book that is very inspiring, especially if you want to pursue your dream.
All right. Do you have a copy of The Alchemist here on your shelf?
No, I gave it away as a gift.
Do you recommend that to everybody?
Everyone should read it at least once a year.
How often do you read it?
Once a year.
What's your favorite time of day?
Noon.
Dream country to visit?
Spain.
Biggest surprise you've had?
A surprise birthday party.
What 3 people, living or dead, would you like to make dinner for?
Barack Obama, MLK, and Gandhi.
What's your biggest fear in life?
To die without inspiring others.
Window or aisle seat?
Window.
Most adventurous thing you've done in your life?
To travel on a whim to England
When was that?
about 15 years ago.
How would you define yourself in 3 words?
You like water?
Yes, please.
Compassionate, brave, and empathetic.
Favorite piece of clothing you own?
A dress shirt.
Superpower you would want?
To be able to see the future.
What's inspiring you in life right now?
Being able to be a part of the growth of others, building lives.
Best advice you've ever received?
Take it easy. Don't give up. Hard work pays.
Best advice you'd give your teenage self?
Slow down.
Best way to relax?
Read a book. Listen to music.
Favorite place to view art?
The Louvre.
Who is better, Naughty by Nature or MC Hammer?
MC Hammer.
Shaba Ranks or Buju Banton?
Buju Banton.
Dolphin or koalas?
Dolphin.
What's your spirit animal?
A lion.
Best gift you've ever received?
A dictionary.
Best gift you've ever given?
A car.
Do you speak other languages?
Yes, I do.
What languages?
English. Yoruba.
What was the second one, please?
Yoruba.
And that's in Nigeria, correct?
It is.
All right. How would you say, welcome to my home in that language?
Káàbọ̀ sí ilé mi.
And how would I respond and say, it's good to be here?
Inú mi dùn láti wà níbí.
That's beautiful. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Stairs or elevators?
Stairs.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
A dessert you do not like?
None.
A skill you're working on mastering?
Martial arts.
Worst thing to happen to you today?
Nothing.
Best thing to happen to you today?
You're here.
Favorite smell?
Vanilla.
Song you can listen to on repeat?
Coldplay. Church. And Champion of the World.
If you could switch lives with one person for one day, who would it be?
Barack Obama.
What are you most excited about at this time in your life?
I'm excited about the fact that I've got my sweet family and that I'm able to help others through my career.
What always makes you laugh?
My family.
What affirmation do you have for today?
I can do all things.
What advice would you give your viewer?
Love everybody. Don't give up. Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. That's it's fair to say, Emmanuel, that that's the bedrock of this book. Is that fair?
Yes.
And where did that strength in believing in yourself, where did that come from, please?
I think it came from the way my upbringing. I was raised in a family that encourages you to have faith and to believe that you can do all things, and that with hard work, perseverance, and a sprinkle of faith, you can make anything happen.
That definitely comes through in this book, because it certainly took a leap of faith to move from Nigeria to the United States to pursue a career.
Correct.
Tell me about your childhood in Nigeria.
It was a childhood that I believe was I'll call it a happy childhood. It has its ups and downs, because I have parents who were really involved. They poured their best in me, even though there were other things that happened outside of the home that were not so great. But within the home, I have that feeling of security, that confidence that you can handle any kind of issues, and especially I remember some of the walks I used to have with my father, he just would tell me some of these things that there was, when I was a bit little, I didn't really understand what it means. Things like, um, wake up early in the morning. Otherwise, laziness is the like lazy. If you're lazy, you can't be anything in life. Something like that. He has all these maxims and word of wisdom that we just drop. And back then, I was just okay. But over time, as I grew older, I found those things to be very useful.
That reminds me a little bit of a quote. I think it was Mark Twain. I might be wrong, but he said at 18 he couldn't believe how stupid his father was, and then when he got to be 25, he couldn't believe how smart his dad actually was. How much he grew in intelligence. That is true. When you're growing up, you may think but wisdom often falls on deaf ears, and perspective comes in retrospect. So I can definitely identify with that. But in reading this book, Emmanuel, there are a couple episodes in here. One in particular that's and I'm talking about the thief in the marketplace, the person who's confronted as a thief in the marketplace. Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, I think the chapter is called "The Burning Man." That's when I witnessed a man being lynched by a mob, and they eventually killed this man. He was accused of stealing, I think maybe a radio from a car, and then the mob descended on him and they beat him, stripped him naked, poured gasoline on him, and burned him to death.
Was this with tires also?
With tires, yes, so that
Yeah.
so they wouldn't be able to escape, and that will also accelerate the fire.
What what affected and that's one of the most disturbing parts of this. I should say it is the most disturbing part of the book, and I mean it's horrifying. What effect did that have on you, either as a child seeing that, and then as a person recounting that as an author?
Yeah, the effect it had on me was more of I think it was traumatic because I had nightmares about this particular incident for a long time. And then a few years later, I was almost a victim of the same fate. Then, it also imbued in me the feelings that you shouldn't just judge people, you shouldn't just rush to judgment because you could be wrong. Because it's possible that this guy that was killed, maybe he never even stole what he said he stole. And if he did, the punishment outweighed the crime.
Sure.
So it made me, even in my career as a lawyer, I would like to sort out all the facts just to make sure that, the facts are right, the wrong person, you can't always get it right, but at least to be fair to everybody. So even if you're going to penalize or hold people accountable, the punishment will not outweigh what they've been accused of.
Because this man was just accused of stealing a radio, and the mob believed the accuser, and the mob gathered and got bigger and bigger, and they resulted in the burning this man to death right there,
Correct.
without a jury, without a trial, without a judge, without anyone. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair.
And
And it's still happening, in so many parts of the world.
that's true. Is it still happening in Nigeria?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's not
Wow.
as common as it used to be, but yeah, given the right circumstances with police not being around, the mob can take laws into their hand.
And you said that you were almost accused by a mob, and that's also in this book. Can you talk about
Correct.
that, Emmanuel?
Yeah, that one was when one of my friends, I went to his stepfather's house to go and pick up some grocery for him, only for the man to stop me, accuse me of coming to steal, try to gather a mob for lynching, but he didn't because I was very young. So I guess the mob did not believe the allegations, or even if they did, they were like, "He's a child, let him go." So Eventually, he had to let me go.
Wow. And in the book, it's amazing how much of of what you're talking about rings true here for the United States too. About like, going off to camp or going off to the big city. But there's one episode in here where you completely defy your parents, willfully defy your parents. Is that something you can talk about too?
Yes, I think I was there was a camp. It was because that's a boys' brigade camp. The boys' brigade is like the Boy Scout. The difference is that it's more faith based. So it's it's an offshoot of a church. So the marching band, they teach discipline, they teach you scriptures. They just like a Boy Scout. Just imagine a Boy Scout with a tinkle, with a sprinkle of religion. Yes.
Sure.
So I auditioned to be a member of the national band, marching band, and a lot of people showed up for that audition.
But what
Most people,
instrument did you play?
oh, I used to play the trumpet. Yes, I used to play the trumpet. So a lot of people and drums, but I auditioned as a drummer. So I made it to the final members of the national band, and then we were supposed to travel to another state called Jos, which is like many hours of driving, just to get there overnight and all that. And we're supposed to be in camp for 2 weeks. So I asked my parents to let me go. They wouldn't let me, and I was so distraught because I had worked hard to make sure I made the cut. So eventually, I decided I was just going to do it anyway. So I packed my bag, hid my bag, and on the day of the camp, I showed up. You know, I showed up in church. I told the captain of the brigade that, well, my parents said I can go with the band, and off to Just we went, and spent 2 weeks there. Eventually, the captain, my parents went to the captain's home to find out what happened, and they realized that I'd gone with the band, and that was it. But when I got back, I thought they would be so mad at me, but they were just happy that I was alive, and they, you know, they forgave me. But now looking back, a few weeks ago, my son is part of the marching band right now. They went to play somewhere out of the county, and around midnight they were not back, and I started getting worried. That was when it hit me how my parents felt. And then I realized, oh my God, this is what I put these people through when I went away for 2 weeks.
See,
But it took me over 40 years to get there. Or maybe
now,
30 something years.
and your mom's still with us, right?
Yes.
Did you write her a thank you note or an apology note at that point?
Oh, you know what? I think I should do that. I will.
But for 2 weeks, how old were you when that happened? And to be gone for 2 weeks?
I think I was about 13 years old at the time. I was between 12
Oh,
and 13.
you are
Yes.
blessed with wonderful parents. Then, if they forgive you and welcomed you back, and we're just glad you were alive.
I know. Yeah. I think the captain was able to better explain to them how much it meant to be part of that band and how they would make sure we're safe and all that.
Well, it was certainly a leap of faith on your behalf to go out there on your own and do that.
It was.
Tell me more about Nigeria. I mean, I think most people know it's West Africa, right? And it was part of the British Empire at one point, but I think
Correct.
till 1960 or so. And
Correct.
and then what's it? I mean, like, what's Nigeria like now?
Nigeria is the most populous black nation in the world.
It's called
And
the
Nigeria
Giant of Africa, right?
is
The
the giant
Giant.
of Africa, yes. Nigeria has a lot of intellectuals because education is like one of the number one um, values that Nigerians cherish. You know, um, so it's still a country that is what you can call developing, but it produces a lot of people with talent and skills. So because the education there, education, like I said, education is very important in Nigeria.
Sure, sure. And did you want to stay in Nigeria, or was there anything calling you to leave Nigeria? And
There's another thing when you grow up in a farmer colony, there is a way that you have been socialized to always think that everything foreign is better. So you have a lot of Nigerians aspiring to either go to the UK, which is Britain or England, or come to the United States. And I believe some of those belief theories what's really yes. So there's that aspiration about everybody. Okay, you either want to go to England or you want to come to the United States. So which
and
has
you
also yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, yeah, and you chose the United States.
Correct.
And I got to ask, your accent, it sounds almost British. Do you get that a lot? Like, are you from the UK, or are you English, or do you get that?
No, I don't. No, my accent is an amalgamation of Nigerian, British, and American accent. So it's like, depending on the words, some will fit into the American, some will fit Nigerian, and it belongs to nowhere. It's unique.
See, I hear British royalty. That's what I hear. Like
Oh,
that's what I
thank
hear.
you.
Like the Crown or something like that.
Thank
But
you.
but so what's like if you're in Nigeria and you're growing up, what is your impression then of the UK, and what is your impression of the United States? Like, what are they looked at as? Like, as looking at it as a person from another continent?
I think, like the United States has better um, PR out there, especially when it comes to Hollywood, because a lot of people around the world watch Hollywood movies and they also listen to American artists. And arts and culture, art does impact culture. And if you're able to export your culture or music or art to other parts of the world, people there will want to be like you. And that's
Oh
the
wow.
edge that America has over, most countries around the world. Because if you call someone in Afghanistan right now, or maybe in any other country in the world, ask them what's going on in the United States, they'll tell you they know what's going on. Ask an American what's going on in Nigeria right now, they have no clue. But
That's a good
because
point.
they don't have to.
Wow. That's a great point. Like,
Yeah,
if you ask me who's the president of Nigeria right now, I wouldn't know. I don't know.
exactly. And someone in Nigeria right now might be watching CNN.
But and they would know about,
They will know about
President
what's
Biden.
going. Exactly, they will know everything that is going on, everything that is yes.
That's a
But
great point.
it's not the other way around. It's more like everyone looks up to the giant, and everyone knows who the giant is, but the giant doesn't have to know everyone around him or her.
Wow. That's a great point. The one thing, talking about Hollywood and with like Hollywood endings, a happy ending, where everything works out and they ride away into the sunset into a beautiful home. What's your thoughts on the American? I mean, your book is actually called "The Quest for the American Dream." Um, how has that changed once you? Well, you know what? Let me back all the way up. What made you actually decide I want to get on a plane and and try my luck in Hollywood's United States? What was the final thing that you said? I'm going. I'm going to go to make my way into the United States. What was the final the spark?
Before I came to the United States, my father came before I did, but then, he was the one that petitioned for me to come to the United States. But then
To
when I
follow.
got to the, yes, to follow. But when I got to the United States, I only lived with him for 6 months. After that, I was out on my own, fending for myself, doing everything like as if, sent myself to college and did everything on my own. So I
So
guess,
why? So, but what is the why of like why why go to the United States as opposed to the UK or stay in Nigeria? Why? Like, what were you hoping for? What were you planning for?
yeah, the United States is seen as the beacon of freedom, where you can be anything you want to be. And largely that is true because United States is a country that rewards hard work. You know, we can have our own issues, issues of race, issues of inequality or whatever, but there's certain things that wherever you are anywhere else in the world, look, let me use my story for instance. My story is not possible even in Nigeria.
What do you
My
mean?
my story of someone who's coming into the country without a dime in their pocket, able to go to college, go to law school, become an attorney, and be able to advance in their career socially. If you go to Nigeria, you can duplicate the same thing because the system does not encourage people the way the American system encourages even new arrivals. So you're still given the same opportunity if you are willing to, you know, take those opportunities. So America is more accepting and it gives you room to grow as long as you can face those challenges.
I like the room to grow.
Yes,
That's a great thing, and and that's one of the great things about this book. When I read it, it doesn't come across as a brag in any way. If anything, it's more of a how to. This is how I did it, and you can do it too. It's more of a like a guide, a recipe, a trail for anybody who wants to read it to how to succeed in business in the United States by really, really trying. And it is all about hustle and creativity. And in the book, when you started off in New York City for a bit, um,
correct.
you were doing like going to school at the same time and working two or three jobs at the same time, and the descriptions of trying to working as a security guard in late hours in a hard neighborhood, and keeping your eye on the monitors of what's going on, but then also studying and then staying awake. It takes the viewer through that hustle, that hard work. Where did that strength come from, Emmanuel?
Yeah, I think it came from, if you grew up in a situation or an environment where you have to work hard for everything. For instance, you could, let's say, in Nigeria, for instance, the power grid is not, you don't have 24-hour electricity, period, unless you generate your own power. So we come up in a situation like that where you've learned to adapt. So hardships here becomes relative, because I remember when I first started college and realized that you can take 3 classes and that will be deemed to be full time. When I was used to taking 12 classes in Nigeria as full time. So you can, so to me, 3 classes as full time compared to 12, go figure. It seems easier for me. So I was able to juggle all those things together. It was still hard, but I was able to adapt.
And there's never like, oh, poor me, for I had to work so hard. If anything, it's more of a like, I'm having fun and I'm going to work hard, and what's next, of truly living in the moment. So you
Yeah.
did all this time in New York City. You went to law school where?
Capital University in Ohio. That's what
Yep. But
actually brought me to Ohio.
all right, but before that, when you were at university in New York.
Yeah, College of Staten Island, City University of New York,
All right, very good. And when did you graduate from there?
2002.
All right, and what did be honest, what did you think of New York City?
I thought, when I was living in New York, I don't think I got to enjoy it. I believe I was working so hard just to exist there. But after leaving New York, I've now, it's a good place to visit, but a hard place to leave if you are not making a lot of money.
Awesome. That's true. That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
did you ever see any of the shows there, or go see the
You,
Statue of Liberty or anything like that?
yeah, I went to, well, I see the Statue of Liberty all the time while being on the ferry. It's more like, when you live there, you just, although I went to the Statue of Liberty once, but when you live in places like that, they, you just, those things don't mean anything. You just see tourists enjoying them. That's why I
Yep.
say it's a good place to visit, but a hard place to live. Those who live there don't enjoy most of those things.
That's true. That's true. They're just working.
Yes,
So
they're just working.
the one thing too, though, I noticed about the first time I went to New York City, I was 16 years old, was the smell. There's a particular New York smell. It's like car exhaust.
Hmm.
It's like street vendor pierogies or something. And I mean, it's also, not to be graphic, it does smell of piss. I mean, it smell of urine. You
Yeah, because
smell that everywhere. You know what I mean?
there are a
There's a
lot.
pit, right?
Yeah,
But it's
because there are a lot of
everyone's.
homeless people there in the city.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, you do see that. But every once in a while, it's a particular smell, and it takes you right back to New York City, to the Port Authority, on 42nd Street. But I definitely agree. A great place to visit, hard place to work. But so you went from New York City then here to Columbus. What brought you to University for Capital for law school?
When I was applying to law schools, I don't really know because I'm the first to ever do anything like that in my family, and I had no guidance from anybody. Like I said, I was raising myself. So deciding to go to law school, there were several law schools that I never applied to because my grades were good. So I was getting all these offers and invitations from all these law schools. So I decided to come and visit Ohio to see what it looks like. So when I got here and realized the cost of living, it's so low compared to New York. And being someone that has to fend for themselves, so I went to where the money is, where I believe that life would be easier for me, where I wouldn't have to work so hard to while also going to law school to be able to make rent, car payment, feeding, and all those things. So
What,
that's why I picked Ohio instead
what,
of
what
staying
was
in the East Coast.
And what was your first impression of Columbus? There's an episode in the book where you're walking around downtown, and you describe how you end up down near the river, and I think you're near the Christopher Columbus ship that was
Yes,
there a while
it was
ago,
there. Yeah.
and it's sort of I could, as a person who knows Columbus and went to law school here in Columbus, I could identify with every step you were taking as you were walking through Columbus, Ohio. Take us through that. What was your first impression? And did you ever think, did I make the right choice in coming to Columbus?
Yes, because when I came to Columbus, that first step, walking just through the street of Columbus downtown, everything I was seeing to me was a symbol. Like you made the right choice. Walking down, I got to where they used to have the Columbus Santa Maria. They used to have the replica there. That to me, it made me think about Columbus coming from Italy or coming from Europe to an uncharted land where they don't know anybody, but they were still able to you know make a life for themselves. I thought about those who also brought the slaves that were brought from Africa who had no choice, and I thought about myself that I'm here by choice, just like another Columbus, no family, no body. It was just me, myself, and my God. Then walking back, because I double back, then the other side, I got to the state house and I saw that the ground of the state, the capital, they had, I think, the motto for the state of Ohio that says, "With God, all things are possible." And I thought, wow, okay, I'm here for a reason. I'm meant to be in Ohio. I've made the right choice.
Excellent. And then you began your legal career here.
And I began my legal career as a law student.
And that had its ups and downs too. Is that fair with jobs?
Yeah, yes.
Tell us about that.
Um, it's my story is all about survival, and it's always about trying to make sure I can put food on my table. Because if the I'm always trying to strive for the basic thing, which is food, shelter, and clothing. Because if I don't provide that for myself, no one will. But then, since that is the main focus, every loss of a job is a threat to my existence since I had no fallback. So I went through a lot of ups and downs, either before I became an attorney and even after I became an attorney. But then what I figured what those things did to me was I think it created in me the desire to not be dependable on either a person or a company or an entity to provide for me. So, and that's what led me to decide that I was going to start my own practice so that
Sure.
I can eat what I kill.
Eat what you kill. Nice.
Yes.
That sounds like a lawyer. So, but there is a point in the book, and we had talked about this earlier. I love the title, "The Flavor of Favor: Quest for the American Dream," and I got to give you credit. Look at this cover. I mean, I want all the viewers to look at this cover. This is a proud American. This is a proud American. This is
Thank
a
you.
proud American. Am I saying, is this all true, Emmanuel? This is a
It
person
is
who's
true.
proud to be American. And
Thank
the
you.
fact that you're putting, I mean, I assume you had control over what was going to be the book cover. Is that fair?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you said, I want the American flag top, top there. And
Correct.
it's not lost that you're dressed like I mean, like, in a blue shirt, like celebrating America. I
Correct.
give you credit. And
Thank you.
because, you're doing the quest for the American dream, but in talking with you and meeting with you and meeting your family, I mean, you were living the American dream. There's so much discussion right now about immigration, and the good, the bad, or whatever it is. But this is what I think is so vital about this book, is that it celebrates and honors. Everybody, you hear the Horatio Alger stories about, like, if you come to the United States and work hard, you will succeed. Well, that's what you could say about, Emmanuel Olawale, is that he came to the United States, he worked hard, and he succeeded. He is succeeding. That's what's so, I think, important about a book like this right now, is that it's for anyone. If you're, a Native American, if you're, your family was born here for many generations, or if you're just getting off the boat from Nigeria, it's the same playing field. That if you work hard, if you're creative, and most importantly, you have faith, you can succeed on the American dream. Am I speaking out of place in any way, Emmanuel?
No, you're not.
All right.
You're not.
And I love this book, and I want every American to read this book, and I want Netflix, out there in California, with all your money out there. This would be a great series. It's already divided up into the perfect little chapters that would be perfect episodes for a 10 arc episode to celebrate not only Emmanuel, but to celebrate the American dream. I did tell Emmanuel when we talked a while back. I said, when I read it, the thing that jumped out of me was $48. There's a chapter that has to do with $48, and I don't want to give too much of away because I want everyone to read it and get to that point. But for me, the linchpin, the turning point, the catalyst in the book was the $48 moment where you think, what's going to happen? Like, this could all fall apart, and you make a decision based upon faith and $48 that for me was, the perfect intersection of faith and the American dream. Without giving it away, you know what I'm talking about, right, Emmanuel?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I
I
don't want.
can.
I mean, I don't want. It's a great. I don't want to spoil it for the viewers because it's
Yeah.
it's something when you get to it, you'll know when you're
Yeah,
there.
you know what it is. Yeah,
But, but
it's a story of around the time where I just got married, I lost my job, and my wife is unemployed, and we were getting food from the pantry, we practically had nothing. But then $48, things change. Go get the book.
Exactly, exactly. I'm sitting there. I'm thinking, don't give it up. Like let the reader go. As part of the journey, get to that point. And a decision is made, and it kind of reminds me of an O. Henry story, or it's a leap. It's a complete leap.
Yeah.
So I love this book, and tell me a little bit more about your legal career now. You started your own office then.
Yes, I've had my practice since 2009. I started it off in the middle of the Great Recession when a lot of law firms were closing shop and people were not finding, lawyer attorneys were not finding jobs. But, the moment I started my practice, I started it from my house. And within 6 months, I was able to move to a bigger place. Within a year, I was able to move to even a much bigger place. And it just keeps growing from there. When I first started, I had I didn't specialize in anything. It's whatever comes walk in the door. But what that did was it made me to learn, different parts of different kind of the law. Like a lot of attorneys will focus on one area of the law. I can do anything if I decided to put my mind to it. So I was able to really hone my skills in different aspects of the law, be it criminal law, civil, personal injury, what, just name it. Whatever walks in the door, yeah, I go study, go to CLEs just to master it. That
And then in the book, you talk about the different clients that you've helped, and some of them as pro bono, just to help
yes,
and keep the goodness. There's one that person that you met on the way into the courthouse. If you can tell our viewers a little bit about that, a complete stranger who came up and asked you some advice,
yeah.
and what happened and what you did.
Yeah, I was coming to court and I was in the parking lot. Then I noticed this couple, with a baby. I believe. I think the man was the one holding the baby, and we just near the elevator, and I just said hi. They were listening to music. They're like, oh yeah, they've been listening to worship song. I'm like, oh yeah, I love to listen to worship songs sometimes too. And I asked them where they were going. They were like, oh, they asked me the way to the traffic court. And I told them to come with me. I showed them the way. They got there. We were having this little chit chat. Then when I was about to leave, they were like, they don't have a lawyer. And they said, oh, we thought God sent us a free lawyer. And I thought, life will only give you as much as you ask of it. But if you never ask, you'll never get. That's what came to my mind. I'm like, well, because you guys asked, I'm gonna go do what I'm here for. Wait for me. I'll come back and represent you for free. And that's
These
what
were
I did.
complete. These were complete strangers.
Complete strangers.
So, and you came back
And I came back.
and tell us what happened.
And I got the ticket dismissed. They didn't even have to pay any fine and just got the ticket tossed.
That's awesome. See, and people make these, and some of the lawyer jokes are true, but that's the example of a great lawyer. That it's
Thank
not
you.
about right, and I congratulate you on that. It's not about the money or anything like that. It's about making the good change, and it was awesome to see. And then there's other stories in there too about you using your law degree for good. And it's also too you could kind of it shines through too is that being a great lawyer is not just knowing the law. It's, knowing the client, knowing the situation, and reading the room. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah. Because there's
Because
much that more goes into lawyering than just the legal aspect. Yeah. The human aspect of the law will help greatly as a lawyer or as a judge or even anyone that works in this field.
and I think there was one example with an immigration issue where, just working with the people, you can get to a positive resolution.
Right.
That's part of the legal career.
Yes. Yeah, I call myself a cultural translator because if you read the book, as you can see from my life is a bit of everything, very rich in versatility, in diversity. So I fit into I can fit into different groups. So, especially with my education, with how I grew up. So I'm able to translate both cultures. So you have new immigrants who will come into the United States. They have no idea. You might be speaking the same language, but different dialect. Other people don't understand them. They don't understand the judges. They don't understand the lawyers on the other side. Same goes with the lawyers. So I come in to be that buffer because I can understand both sides. So, and that has helped me to really help clients and even judges and other attorneys.
It's empathy skills. It's being able to use empathy
Exactly.
for the good of all.
Exactly.
So now, um, in addition to being a attorney, would you ever give that up and just be an author, just an author, and give up the courtroom?
I believe you can do both. You can chew
Both.
gum and work at the same time.
Nice. All right. We talked a little bit in the past about books and stuff. And I started on your recommendation, The Alchemist. Um,
Mm.
and I'm on page, let's see, 34. And it's definitely like a fable, like a parable.
It is a
Um,
fable. Mhm.
and I'm truly enjoying it. What is that your favorite book? Then I take from 57 questions. That is your favorite book.
It is my favorite book, yes.
Why?
Because it's easy to read. It's like a storybook, like, any story that you can read to even a 10-year-old, 7-year-old, and they can get. But then it encapsulates a lot of life lessons in it, which is more about knowing your personal, trying to achieve your personal legend, which will be about achieving your goals. And that when you go in search of those personal legend, the universe will conspire to make things happen. If you look at my story too, I call it the flavor of favor, which is that favor. Because sometimes you could do everything right, just like I did, and it may still not work out. So,
No.
because you have people that may work harder than you, smarter than you, do everything, but it might not work out the way it worked out for you. So, the book is a little bit about that too. So, which means that if you go in search of your dream, the universe will conspire in your favor to make things happen. That is the favor part.
I can definitely see a parallel between that book and the flavor of favor. If anything, the shepherd boy in his journey, whether it's to the pyramids, or to
Exactly.
his reward. But I
Yes.
can already feel like we're heading toward a $48 moment somewhere in there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it's a parallel. Yes.
It's a great thing. Well, Emmanuel, help me out. I know you can buy your book on Amazon. It's an easy order from there. Where else can people find your book?
It can be found on Barnes and Nobles and any of the bookstore outlet out there. You can also get it at your local libraries because there are a lot of libraries that carry the book, and it's available in a book format, Audible, and Kindle. So you can get it in all formats.
I got to ask you as an aside, as a book lover too. Do you ever read books on Kindle?
Yes, I do.
You do? Right. See, I haven't got
Yes.
there yet. I haven't got
Yeah.
there yet. But I gotta recommend anybody who's watching this, if you want to do yourself a favor, if you truly want to be inspired as an American, regardless if you're a Democrat or a Republican, an independent, a free thinker, a progressive, and you really love America and you love the American dream and the quest for the American dream, truly go find this book. You will enjoy it. It was one of the best books I've read in the last 5 years
Thank
because of
you.
its optimism, but also the fact that it's grounded in faith. And that's important these days, regardless if you consider that in religious terms or just in human terms. So I truly have enjoyed this opportunity, Emmanuel, to talk with you. Is there
Thank
any
you.
parting words that you want to share with our viewer?
I'll just say, go get the book. You can get it at any bookstore or online. And one thing I would like you to uh, keep in mind is that with hard work, faith, and perseverance, you can do all things.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Emmanuel. Thank you for joining me here on Legal Angle. Your regular host will be back next week. I've truly enjoyed this opportunity. And remember, we're all in this together, and have a good day. Take care.
Thank you for having me.